It's 2023. Doctor Who turns 60 this year. The cultural impact the show has had on millions of people around the world bears great significance. The main reasons for this are longevity and change. But what about a time when no one knew what Doctor Who even meant? 1963 must have been an interesting time. Viewers were introduced to this weird old man for the first time. No, not this guy. Yeah, that's him. This guy right here is the same character as all of these. A mysterious time traveller with a ship which can travel through time and space. This was a concept conceived by Sidney Newman and Verity Lambert, and I think they did well if you look at it all. A family tea time show for Saturday nights, and it was a sci-fi. The first ever episode was all about intrigue from the very first second. The title sequence, the music, the junkyard, the police box, weird girl, her abrasive grandfather, and two nosy school teachers who happen to follow this girl home. Man, talk about weird. As dated as things look, I love the first ever episode. This right here is television history. Little did teachers Ian and Barbara know that their lives would change forever when they stumbled inside a junkyard full of shit, except for one thing which has been a staple in Doctor Who, the beloved blue box time machine. Except you cannot tell here because, it's black and white. It was here we learned that the weird girl, Susan, along with her grandfather, the Doctor, are in fact beings from another time, another world. It is soon after this that the teachers and we as the viewer discover the true nature of the Doctor's time machine. The blue box is bigger on the inside. It's like there's a whole new world inside this police box. This might not be a big deal to as many people nowadays as we use it in modern slang. A time and relative dimension in space, TARDIS for short, can travel anywhere in time and space. And that is exactly what happens for the first time here. After the characters bicker for a bit, the Doctor is a clever dick. I like this guy. The episode ends on a cliffhanger as the TARDIS leaves the junkyard and ends up landing on a barren landscape. The shadow of a mysterious figure emerges. Roll credits. Perfect television. What I love about Unearthly Child is the sheer amount of balls everyone had in trying to make something which may have sounded silly on paper, but translated on screen into a masterpiece. Writer Anthony Coburn, director Waris Hussein, and the cast. Oh my god. The cast is perfect. William Hartnell embodies the Doctor the second you see him. I love his wit and attitude towards Ian and Barbara. Carole Ford as Susan is so iconic. Listening to the 1960s music, saying strange things in her history lessons at school, and her screams when the Doctor decides to be a dick and kidnap the school teachers at the end. As for William Russell and Jacqueline Hill as Ian and Barbara, how can you not love them? As I said, these were the eyes of the audience. They are the only human main characters in the first episode. Therefore, they were the most relatable to the 1960s television audience. The sets of the junkyard and the inside of the TARDIS are still spectacular. God damn. I wish I knew what it was like to watch this for the first time back in 1963. If you were there, tell me, what did you make of it? The very first episode of Doctor Who was a triumph in my eyes, even if viewing figures did not suggest it. The acting was great, and we got treated to iconic lines like these.
What are you afraid to show us?
Afraid? Oh, go away. It's still a police box. Why hasn't it changed? Dear, dear. How very disturbing.
Sheer poetry, as the first Doctor would say much later on. There is no point in calling yourself any sort of fan if you haven't seen this episode. But what about the rest of the story though? Well, it's set in the Stone Ages. The characters get caught up in two opposing tribes, and they fight over fire for 3 episodes. Oh, is that it then? Sounds like a pile of shit, and I'd be lying if I said the quality of the first episode remained for episodes 2 to 4. It drags on in places, and there are some fun parts, as well as some fucked up parts. First Doctor just casually smokes from a pipe at one point. Talk about sass. Imagine Jodie Whittaker doing this in the modern stuff.
The Centauran Empire! No, it won't.
Even a part when the Doctor is about to impale someone's skull with a rock. Like, fuck. What is wrong with you? Makes me dread to think what he and Susan did on previous unseen adventures. In the end, the characters get to know each other and escape their predicaments by lighting skulls on fire. The TARDIS takes off, but a monitor reads danger, promising viewers that the troubles were far from being all over, and if you know your Doctor Who history, you know what comes next. While the latter parts of this story do drag it down slightly, I still do love it for what it is. The highlight is easily the first episode, and I implore anyone to watch this all the way through, even the bits which may bore some people to death. After all, this is the first ever Doctor Who story, and it was made in the 1960s. Television was different back then. An Unearthly Child is a great opening to a series which has faced many trials and tribulations right from the get-go. It's no secret that these first 4 episodes did not make or indeed break the show, which we still see today. However, a strong case can be made for the second serial, which arguably catapulted Doctor Who's success with the British viewers and the critics, and therefore guarantee the show's long-lasting appeal. I am, of course, talking about the introduction of the most terrifying, iconic alien race the Doctor has ever faced. The Thals. That costume is enough to make you hide behind a sofa.